ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to race number 2, season 62 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series as we are here under the lights. First appearance this season at Burt Screwdrivers Raceway. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman, and Michael, after a very interesting, very exciting close to last week's season opener at Talladega. These drivers now have one race under their belt. They kind of know where they stand in preparation for the next 7 regular season races. What do we see here tonight? I mean, do we continue to see a lot of drivers gunning for that checkered flag, that automatic playoff spot, or now do a lot of drivers settle into more the consistent mode to try and point their way into an eventual playoff position?
Well, Seth, you asked this question a lot, and I'm going to give you the same answer.
Okay.
It's not so much as you're out there gunning to win. Every race car driver goes out with the, knowing that they have a shot at winning a race like this. They got to put themselves in the right place at the right time. But at the same time, with as many cars in the field as we have, it's going to be a conservative race because one issue could lead to a free fall in the points, and you don't want that to happen.
Yeah,
Also, stop being so cheerful. Just because you outqualified me one time this season doesn't mean you get to get a big head about it.
I have to be cheerful because it may be the only time I outqualify you this season, so I got to enjoy the moment while I can. But you brought up the fact of the big field. We had 38 drivers take the green last week, 39 drivers taking the green flag here tonight, so a lot of points on the table as usual. Little room for error because it can flip-flop. You can, especially with only one race so far being run, you can jump up double-digit spots in the standings and, on consequence, drop multiple spots in the standings if you have a bad performance. We'll see who's going to be able to come out on top here tonight. We already know Jeremy Jeffries, the defending champions, locked into the playoffs, provided he stays in the top 20 in points with his victory last week. Bob Dixon gets the pole position via the random qualifying draw here tonight. He'll share the front row with Tim Knofsker. Jessica Shelton will be alongside of Bobby Farrell, row 2. Row 3 will be Richard Martin and Mark Paglia. Row 4, Rodney Sullins. He was in position to win last week, ended up in the big one through 3 and 4, finished way down in the running order, way down the points. He's back in row number 4 with Jeremy Jeffries, last week's winner. Greg Palmer, a former winner from last year, will share the remainder of the top 10 with Josh Metallic. Wiley Coates back in row 6 with Milt Surratt. Row 7, Bernie Mobbs and Grant Wesley. Kelly Causey and Keith Bynum back in row 7. Row 8's going to find, make that row 8 was Wesley and Causey. Row 9 is Denny Carroll and Chris Emery, and then Graham McDonald will complete the top 20 alongside of, Ulysses Sandoval. Brian Lovell back in row 11 with Donnie Garrett. Row 12, Cy Jones and Doug Hulick. Brian Schilling, he's been on a tear. We're going to talk about him in just a little bit here. He's back in row 13 with Terry Bombard. Row 14, Randy Waugh. Say it. He didn't say it. Man, that delay is going to be back in row number 14 with Mike Mangialardi. Ron Hagel and Jason Scheck complete the top 30. Joe DeSpirito, Bob Seminara, a couple members of the Florida gang way deep in the field as they're back in row 16. Row 17, Chuck McClure and Tom Dixon. Row 18, Billy Ellis or Jerm Lewis. And then the remainder of the field for tonight's 39-car lineup, Glenn Harris, Brian Rawson, and Jeff Cravello. Cravello DeVille. Now I'll never be able to see that name the same way again. Thank you for that.
That just popped into my head.
It did, and I don't know why it didn't pop into mine sooner. All right, here we go. Mr. Factoids himself, Bob Dixon, going to bring us down here to the green. Second race of the season is underway at Burt Screwdrivers Raceway. 66 laps to determine potentially the second winner in this season. Jeremy Jeffries could always go back-to-back to open up the year. And you got to think, too, Michael, we talked with him last week, the fact that he was able to kind of get the monkey off his back, knows he's locked into a playoff spot. Now kind of the floodgates are open for him to be aggressive and try and get as many wins as possible. That all translates to bonus points. Of course, bonus points paid out, too, if you win the regular season championship.
Yeah. It's going to be good and exciting to watch.
Dixon and that inside line forged ahead, at least for the moment, through 3 and 4. Jessica Shelton offering the drafting help. A little bit of a run there. starting to form on that outside line with Nofsker, Demar, Mark Paglia as well. Who's going to lead the first lap of the night? Waiting for official scoring. Looks like it is going to give it to the 143 of Bob Dixon, but I don't think it was by much.
0.004.
There you go, 4 thousandths. Third lane starting to form back there. Of course, last week we were at Talladega Superspeedway. The middle line is usually the preferred line. Not always the case here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Middle line can be strong if everybody's lined up, but the inside line has proved the last couple of seasons to be where a lot of drivers go to in the closing stages of the race to make forward progress. Mainly because of what you see right there, top of your screen. When that third line forms, it draws back the middle line and gives the advantage to the cars right wrapped around that yellow line on the inside. That is Chris Emery, one of the Blue Angels, up there on that third line, leading. Donnie Garrett behind him.
Boy, when these cars go 3 wide, Seth, you could see just how far back it goes. Someone just jumped up to the top lane there. It looked like to be the one of Jeremy Jeffries.
Yes, it was.
Middle lane's got a bit of the stranglehold right now on the lead, but if that third line gets up there, we might see a different story.
Yeah, I saw Josh Metallic on the back straightaway. He wanted to go up to that third lane, but Emery was already filling in that gap behind Jeremy Jeffries, who now, with a big push through the tri-oval, looks to make it 3 wide for the lead going into 1. Jeffries on the top, Nofsker in the middle, Dixon on the bottom.
I thought he got it, but then it updated again. Now you see the bottom lane starting to come into play. Does Bob Dixon stay there, or does he try to go up to the top or in the middle?
We have about 9-10 rows.
Back there.
Yes, I'm trying to tell
41.
Who that was. That'd be Denny Carroll.
Probably doesn't like what he sees.
Nope, I'm with him.
Oh.
I probably would have done the same thing. Throw out the parachute.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no!
31.
That's Bernie Mobbs.
Bernie Mobbs blinking like crazy. You know, I'm not even gonna lie. Seeing the Blue Angel car up there kind of makes me think of Matt McIntyre.
A little bit. Yeah.
Doesn't Matt paint his own schemes?
Yes, he does.
Oh, that's why they're all basic.
Oh no! Oh my gosh! Well,
I haven't seen anything like that before in my life.
I cannot wait to find you in some catch fence or some tire barrier at some point asking, what's that for? And Matt reminds you of this night. Looks like that middle line actually died out there. Kind of your typical super speedway where you get stuck in the middle, you're put in the proverbial sucker hole. We normally don't see the middle line go backwards, especially when we're at the counterpart Talladega, which we'll be at again next week. As a matter of fact, Talladega Superspeedway going to be where the season finale, the regular season finale I should say, will be hosted. Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway is where the championship will ultimately be decided. As now Bob Dixon, there you see it right there, what I was just talking about. As soon as that third line forms, it draws back the middle line. The inside line gets the advantage. Dixon, Shelton, Farrell, all clear on that inside line. And Rodney Sullivan's right there behind them as well.
All clear now. It could be a 4-car small breakaway here if these cars stay 4 double wide.
Yeah, Rodney Sullivan's had a great run going, was leading the third line through 3 and 4. Coming around to what was eventually going to be 2 laps to go. The race last week ended under yellow, but got caught up in that late race wreck. Ended up crossing the line outside of the top 20, 29th in points coming into this one. Definitely looking to bounce back, and that's another thing too. We talk about a lot of the drivers that ran well last week looking to continue on that consistency. What about a bunch of those drivers? Because there's a lot of big names that either didn't make it back to the checkered flag or came back badly wounded, smoking, all mangled up after that massive wreck we had coming to 2 to go. You look down there at names like Denny Carroll, Richard Martin, Glenn Harris, Ulysses Sandoval, John Godfrey. These are a lot of drivers that, as mentioned tonight, if they get even a good finish, not necessarily even a win, if they get a top 3, top 5, they're going to jump up double-digit spots in the standings.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Ronnie Sullins has found an old drafting partner of his, Greg Palmer. We've seen these two work together a lot the last couple of seasons. They've got the middle line right now. Dixon's still down there on the inside line.
Oh, the 22 was thinking maybe third lane there.
Might have preemptively been thinking that the one
Ooh.
might have gone up there. Nice slide move to the bottom there. Fourth place going into 3. Now alongside for second. That's Donnie Garrett in the Miller High Life machine.
And that was a heck of a slide down. I see the Burger King car of Ulysses back there.
It's not Burger King, it's Icebreakers, even though it's Burger King on your screen.
It's Burger King on my screen. I go with what I see in my own 2 eyes.
Donnie Garrett, one of a number of drivers that was not in the field for last week's season opener. Same for Joe DeSpirito, Greg Palmer, Tom Dixon, Doug Hewlick. So those drivers all looking to make some strides in the point standings here tonight. They all got last place points last week, which with the fact that we had 38 drivers take the green, it totaled out to each one of them getting 4 points. Winner got 47 points, so you do the math.
Yep. I'm not good at that, so I won't.
By the way, JT Mayhew in our chat. JT, we hope that you're feeling better. We can't wait to see you back out on the racetrack again, but he loved your Crivello DeVille pun.
Oh, well, I need to tune into our own stream so I can keep an eye on chat myself.
Icebreakers, have it your way. Brian Schilling, we normally see him try and rim ride around the top, but he's going to go to the bottom with Chuck McClure. How about that? When I was running down the running order there and I saw Chuck McClure all the way back in 35th, first thing that popped in my mind was, well, he won't be there for very long. He's already up inside of the top 10, looking to break into the top 5. Schilling started deep in the field as well back in 27th, so good job by both of them in the early going to work their way up.
Yes, Ben, the 06 is a Icebreakers car, but on my screen, because I don't see his paint scheme, because I refuse to download these paint schemes one at a time, even though I love the series, I'm just saying. On my screen, it says Burger King as his main sponsor, so...
You had a whole week and you didn't remind me to send you the car pack.
I know! That's true, I keep forgetting.
I also had a whole week and didn't remind myself to send you the car pack, so we're both guilty.
You never remember anything anyway.
I know! It's so easy to remember everything that I forget.
Yeah, 1 week later. It's like your electric bill.
This
about
series
it
is my weekly reminder that I failed.
No, it's like you forget to pay the electric bill 1 week later. Oh, I got to pay the electric. Gets shut off immediately.
Yeah, as soon as the lights go out, I suddenly remember. Well, after getting the race lead, Rodney Sullins and Greg Palmer have jumped down to the bottom of the racetrack. If I recall correctly, and I might be wrong in this, but I believe both of these drivers are former winners here at Burt Screwdrivers Raceway last season. Greg Palmer won the season opener last year, which I'm pretty certain was here at BSR. I could be wrong in that. And then Rodney Sullins, multiple-time winner in the series, and I believe his last win in the series came here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Josh Metallic now up there on the outside with Jeremy Jeffries. Oh, someone disappeared and reappeared. That was one of the Blue Angels cars. I think that might have been the 000 of Chris Emery again. Yes, it was. Right in front of Bob Seminara.
Oh yeah, the 000 was blinking a little bit there.
The double 000? There's a car with 5 zeros?
I said the 000. I didn't say double
and
triple.
Yep. Yeah, and he's going to drop back.
Yep. So things get settled out. It's the right thing to do early on in a race. Try to let things settle out, come back to it when it's the most time. Instead, we're roughly about 5 to 6 laps away from pit stops.
That's true. We haven't seen a round of green flag pit stops yet this season. I think we had 6 cautions last week in the season opener. We didn't get close enough to be able to have a full fuel run and see these drivers have to make green flag pit stops. Maybe tonight is where we see their first test in that regard here in season 62. New look, not necessarily new colors for Bob Seminara back there. Third car on the outside line. little red, white, and blue on his machine. I think he normally has just the white and blue when John Godfrey runs the red and
Gilbert,
white counterpart.
Don Gilbert Godfrey.
So hold on. So hang on. Let me think here. So you've got 2 drivers in the field that you've given Disney character nicknames to, and then you've got one that's Nintendo.
Correct.
Wasn't there another one? I'm trying to remember. Was there another driver that you gave a nickname to?
Well, I mean, you got Wile E. Coyote for Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, I don't think you used that one as much though.
No, probably not as much. I'm looking through. Randy Waluigi.
Yeah, the Waluigi. You've got now Crivello DeVille, and you've got John Gilbert Godfrey.
Okay, so you got Mike Mangialardi. What was the Star Wars thing that sounds like that? That Joel, got Pedro Pascal was.
Oh, Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Mike Mandalorian.
Mike Mandalorian.
And now all I'm picturing is a Back to the Future car.
My DeLorean.
My DeLorean.
If I ever race an old car like this, an Aero 88 car, I want it to be just all the scheme is, no numbers, nothing. It's just the Back to the Future DeLorean.
They've made that. Have you not seen that car? They actually, I believe it was actually for the Aero 88 car. Somebody actually did make a custom Back to the Future DeLorean car on this mod.
Can you imagine a real DeLorean racing only getting up to like 90 miles an hour?
It would only get up to 88 and then disappear.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about a real DeLorean, not a.
If the DeLorean got up to 88 and disappeared, then he'd be parked for warping too much.
True. He could just he could time travel to the end of the race.
That's right. No, makes a wrong move on the last lap, finishes second. We have to go back.
We got to go back.
At the front, top 5 have gotten themselves now spaced out. Oh, was someone on the apron?
Okay,
Was that Nofsker?
They saved it.
They did. I think that was Tim.
That was a lot of cars. Holy moly.
Got down on the apron there. I don't know if he got help or maybe just got the lefts down on the apron and it hooked down to the bottom.
I got a fan. JT Mayhew says he's going to die laughing from my dad jokes.
No caution as of yet, and we got some pit stops. Couple of early takers, Bob Dixon, Ron Hagelin.
Oh, but Tom Dixon didn't come down. That's surprising.
Mike Mangialardi, Brian Lovell, and Denny Carroll all coming down pit road here. I think Tom Dixon was in the previous lap, Michael. I think he just went a lap down. I think he may have taken service the lap before.
Well, then we should be expecting all these cars to come down pit road this time.
Yeah, we're coming to the completion of lap 18, so yeah, we're right on that window. You'd have to think Rodney Selwyn's be one of the first ones on pit road, as he's been out in front for 11 of the completed 17 laps so far. Now, let's see. I think I'm seeing some radios lighting up. First pit stops of the season under green flag conditions. Let's see how many there are and how they do. Nope, leaders aren't coming in. Tom Dixon in the wall. Saved it. A lot of stack up, a lot of check up.
I think he almost missed it. Hold on, I want to see.
Everybody good on entry at least. I don't know what
Sandoval. I think he shifted down too early and got super loose, but managed to save it.
Yeah, nobody spun out. You had the Tom Dixon car into the Armco barrier on the inside.
No,
Mike Mangialardi almost spun it off a 2.
I think Ulysses almost ran a little bit over his pit stall. Had to come back. Come on, Ulysses, you're not doing yourself any favors here.
We already established he lost an arm after his wreck last week at Talladega. It's not that easy to be able to slow down a car when you're driving it with one arm.
Comes to group number 2.
Woo, Graham McDonald up there top of your screen. Diving way inside, and it looks like this. Oh, Bernie Mobbs! Is he going to be able to get to his pit stall? I think he might have missed it.
Very possible, yeah.
I'm trying to see. He qualified 15th. Maybe his pit stall is further down here. Actually, I think he is going to be able to get to his pit stall. Somebody has a fireplace. Chris Emery has like a fireplace or a memorial thing for his pit box. I just noticed there. It's like a brick like a brick wall with photos on it. That's pretty cool. As leader is, I think, going to, at least for the moment, maybe cycle out to Chuck McClure there and Brian Schilling. We got to wait and see the culmination of that second group when they come out, how it all cycles around. Milt Surratt has a big line of cars behind him, so they will certainly, you have to think, be up in the lead pack once everybody comes back together. And it looks like Sullins is going to, at least off turn 2, win the battle after the cycle, but keep an eye on that number 17, that number 4, now up to 7th and 8th, because they've got the momentum.
Pushing. They've got about a 5-mile-an-hour difference right now to some of them.
And a lot of people may not necessarily think so, but Michael, you and I can attest to
Kelly
this fact.
just jumped up in front of them. That's going to cost them right there.
Yeah, you and I can attest to this fact that this portion of the race is usually the most dangerous in terms of when a caution can come out, because you mentioned it, the difference in miles per hour in the runs that you get when you get up on the back bumper of a car that's either just getting up to speed or may not have quite the momentum you do. That's usually where we end up seeing the errant bumps and usually the wrecks that bring out the yellow flags. So these drivers, they have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, it just, you know, all it takes is one little mistake, Seth, and these guys are just out there trying not to make that mistake.
Does it take one little spark of inspiration? Shout out to Nigel Channing Moonface.
JT Mayhew, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, it's going to get serious in the pits.
Can you hot pit with a Mandalorian? Or with a... Whoa! Sounded good in my brain, sounded horrible when it came out of the mouth. Woo!
And also, Benjamin, yes, I also can't wait to see the Big Duck on Tuesday.
Big Duck. The Big Duck is yellow, and that's what Rodney Sullivan's car color is.
I asked RJ, I said, should all of us just run Big Duck schemes?
The Duck Invasion. Well, first round of pit stops for season 62 completed. Battle is on for the lead. Give it to Kelly Causey on the top side with help from Chuck McClure. This will be his second lap led of the night. Rodney Sullins has led 14 laps. Bobby Farrell, Richard Martin have led a lap apiece. 2 laps also led by Jeremy Jeffries and Bob Dixon, who was the pole sitter on the night. Folks, this weekend, join us on Saturday, as we'll be bringing you coverage of the Talladega Nights Racing Mega Team Race in memory of Dean Gautreaux. Going to have 40 drivers in the field, 10 teams, 4 drivers each. Top 4 drivers that accumulate the most points will end up winning the team race. It'll be at Talladega Nights Super Speedway, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Saturday night. Be sure to join us for that one here on FRN. And of course, next week, these Talladega Challenge drivers right back at it. We go back to the high banks of Talladega Super Speedway next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that one. But we still got to settle out this one. And Michael, as soon as they all got bunched up, we're back to 3x3x3, about 7-8 rows deep.
Yep, absolutely. That's all it takes. Now we're going to see if anyone's going to make a mistake or if this is going to get to some serious racing.
We'll talk about mistakes. Didn't really see anybody spin coming onto pit road. Had some close calls. There might have been some stuff that happened from the commitment line at the entrance of pit road to the exit line leaving pit road that we may not have caught. But a number of drivers have lost this lead pack. I believe we've got 26 drivers up in this lead group right now. You've got a straggling amount of cars back from 27th to around 32nd, including Bob Dixon, Doug Kulik, Billy Elliser, Bernie Mobbs, Graham McDonald, and Randy Waugh. There's then a third pack behind them with Glenn Harris, Ulysses Sandoval, Jeff Crivello, Tom Dixon, and Jerm Lewis. And then currently about half a lap down are the cars of Cy Jones and Mike Mangialardi. But all 39 drivers at this point in time are still running and are still on the lead lap. And when I checked the scoring, Michael, all 39 drivers, when they made the pit stop, nobody got hit with a speeding penalty.
That's awesome. And you could tell I looked like you were naming out the people in the packs here, so you could tell who had the time struggling onto pit road here, Seth. But we got probably about another 15-ish laps till it's our next pit stop, so this would be a good time to get a good race break in.
I think you're right. So Rodney Sullins back out in front after Kelly Causey had a little bit of a moment through 3 and 4 and has drifted all the way back outside of the top 10. Currently showing the way here tonight in race number 2, season 62 of the RTG Talladega Challenge Series. Don't go anywhere. If trouble breaks out, we'll break in, but we're going to take an FRN race break and be right back to cover the action here from BSR.
We'll break in so fast you would think we're the FBI.
We welcome you back here to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Didn't miss much there during that race break. A little bit of an outside line starting to form there, but it is still Rodney Sullins in that Dale Sr. throwback leading this race. It seems appropriate there for Rodney to be running the throwback. This is throwback weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series drivers at Darlington. And of course, too, when you kind of consider the fact that the Aero 88 cars are old school, you gotta run a throwback car, right?
Yep, gotta have a little throwback there.
So theoretically, you got Dale Earnhardt Sr. out in front. You got Bobby Allison in second. Darrell Waltrip in third. I don't know what the Blue Angel car would be. And then Buddy Baker would be in fifth position right now. That outside line is being led by Brian Rawson. How about that? Great run here tonight for the 6 car. He's getting a good push from Bob Seminara. Tim Novsker up there on that outside line as well. Remember, he had that near moment. Oh boy, 000's blinking again. We saw him have to give up a lot of track position earlier on. And he may have to do the same thing here if that is persistent.
Well, Seth, as we could see these drivers too wide and others, you talked about Grant Wesley making a move up to third unknowingly to you. He's up there and you see the 000 behind him here. But I believe because he gave us a shout out on his streaming, Joe Toe and others, they're currently streaming the BSR race at Bristol. So
at
shout
Briggle,
out to
baby.
those guys. It's Briggle, baby. Shout out to those guys having fun over there. And go watch them if you haven't. They put on some good shows for us. Seth, battle for the lead. Grant Wesley jumps to the outside.
Yes, he does. You saw Rodney Sullins get a little loose down there on the bottom. I don't know if he clipped the apron or if he was thinking about jumping up there in front of Grant Wesley, but Grant's got a good push from Donnie Garrett, who in turn's getting a big shove from Josh Metallic. They're very well formed in that middle line, and Grant's going to get himself to the point. First time tonight, Grant Wesley is going to go to the race lead. Grant finished 6th last week in the season opener. I know I mentioned this at the beginning when they were rolling off the grid, and then forgot that I mentioned it. I want to talk about Brian Schilling because he's got a chance to have a monster week. Brian Schilling on Monday night picked up the victory in the Barebones Racing Series event at Dover. And then Wednesday night in the Lightning Truck Series, he took the checkered flag at Watkins Glen. He's got a chance to go 3 for 4 here this week if he gets the victory here tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway in the Tally Challenge. And he's up in this lead pack right now. Currently back around 7th, 8th on the inside line. Last time by was scored in 19th place. But we know he's got a fast car. We saw him and Chuck McClure both working their way in a 2-car tandem up into the top 10 after the pit stop cycle was complete.
Curse you and your long breath of talking. When you said he had a monster, he had a chance to get a monster of a week, I was going to say, what did he do? Drink Monster Energy drink? But you just kept talking and let me get my pun in.
Brian Ross is getting kicked up to the top side. Left the door open.
And with how big of a pack this is,
it's going to drop back at least to 23rd or 24th. Believe Terry Bombard was the last driver that crossed the line in this pack last time by, so 26 drivers actually up in this lead group. Nobody a lap down as of the moment still. We got a couple of drivers that the leaders are reeling in, Cy Jones and Mike Mangialardi, but that's pretty impressive, the fact that we had the green flag pit stop cycle, but we are now halfway home in this race, and
we should be approaching another round of pit stops here soon.
But all 39 drivers are still on the lead lap. How about that?
For now. But, yeah, it's probably going to be within the next 3 to 4 laps, I'm going to guess.
All right, these drivers came down in 2 big groups, and as mentioned, none of them got nailed by the speeding police. As we get closer towards the end of a race, though, Michael, you know, you want that extra position or 2 once everything cycles out. Do you have to kind of rein yourself back mentally to not go a little too far on trying to get a little bit extra on hot pitting and maybe end up costing yourself this race?
Yeah, hot pitting is always extremely dangerous. We both know this. We've both been caught by it. Yeah, you know, unless your name is Joshua Mercurio, because you just can't hot pit anyways.
Man, you are firing all the shots here. You're gonna have no teammates left by the end of the night.
But Joshua Mercurio technically isn't a teammate though. At least not in Maverick.
True, but he's an affiliate? Question mark.
But
yeah, name me a Toyota team that has a Cadillac affiliate. I'll wait.
But yeah, hot pitting is always dangerous, especially if you're not the first person trying to do it. Because, and I will mention Joshua Mercurio again, and say that as they're coming up the lap cars, one on top, one on the bottom.
This is not ideal. Oh, Mangialardi's coming in.
Here comes somebody. Yeah, say somebody's coming. Somebody else is coming in.
That was Denny Carroll in the 41, I believe.
But yeah, you can always get run over from behind if you hot pit, but do it too carefully. And then as somebody else, you could cause an accident. You have to take claim for it, and either EOL if it causes a caution, or don't they have the drive-through thing here?
I think it's a drive-through. Yep.
Yeah, and you don't want to be responsible for that either.
And here's the thing too, and you talk about we've had the experience of getting hit with a black flag penalty for speeding on pit road with the attempt of hot pitting. Consider the fact, too, there are times that a driver looks in their rearview mirror maybe just as much as they do out the windshield with hot pitting, because you talk about not wanting to check up too much as here comes Donnie Garrett into pit road, Brian Lovell, Richard Martin. Oh, contact! Bobby Farrell's going to miss the commitment cone, go into the grass. Wiley Coates in the grass as well, and Farrell is spun around. Should stay green. But, you end up seeing something like that in your rearview mirror, and the instinct is, I need to speed up to get away from it. Oh, wait, there's the commitment line. I'm over the pit road speed limit, and you end up getting caught for speeding in reaction to something that happened behind you.
Yep, absolutely. Now, with Greg Palmer leading here, Seth, I think I see some more chats lighting up here, so this should be a very interesting come on the pit road right here.
Should have quite a number of our lead pack on pit road this time by. See if anybody from this group stays out. Looks like a couple of them did. Keith Bynum stayed out. Oh, we're 4 wide coming in.
Whoa!
And we all made it. But did we get it woed down?
Grant Wesley theoretically got the quote-unquote lead back coming in. He beat the 22 in the pit road.
I don't think there's a driver, I don't know, maybe Tim Nofsker could give him a run for his money, but I don't think there's a driver that's any more aggressive coming to pit road than Grant Wesley. I can't recall the number of races that he has won where I've then gone back in my memory bank and thought, you know what? He ended up passing like 3 or 4 cars on the entrance to pit road. That's probably where he won the race, right there.
You know, Seth, there's something that we didn't even really think about also when we were talking about hot pitting. And that was the fact that you come in double wide, and sometimes the people on the outside have to quickly turn down to get into their pit stalls.
True. That's why a lot of drivers, they hope that the random qualifying gives them a pit stall up towards the end of pit road rather than at the beginning, because it's difficult to hot pick, get that thing woed down to 55 miles per hour or slower when you have a pit stall that's literally right there after you cross the commitment line. And with 39 drivers in the field, there were a couple of drivers that have had to deal with that here this evening.
The rest of the cars have come down pit road.
And look who's going to cycle out to the race lead. You called it with the aggressive entry to pit road. Grant Wesley looks like he's going to cycle out to the top position. However, we should make everybody aware that wasn't the final pit stop of the night. They're going to have to pit again. More than likely, somewhere around 6 or 7 laps to go. So we still got the money stop waiting in the wings. There was Keith Bynum, one of the last drivers to hit pit road there. We'll see where he cycles around to. Looks like he's getting freight trained. He'll be outside of the top 10 at least. Maybe top 15, trying to slot his way into somewhere. Top 4 have got themselves broken away. Tim Nofsker's got a big pack.
Hey, I don't want to take away from our race, but as you know, I'm tuned into to Johto at the same time, and they just had a very interesting thing happen. Somebody warped out, right? Disappeared. And when they warped back in, they were inside of another car.
I've seen that.
Yeah, like a car on. It was like a limo effect. So they came to a stop on the racetrack, right? And you know how when you're sometimes in a car on pit road, it flings you?
Yep.
It flung the car back down the racetrack, backwards, and it took out another car.
Oh, wow.
Coming around. It's insane. Absolutely insane.
Tim Nofsker now to the outside. I mentioned about the fact Brian Schilling won that race on Monday night at Dover. I was privileged to be a part of that race. Loved Dover and always enjoy racing that racetrack with these guys.
You your way into a top, what, 4,
I got a top. I took the restart 15th, somehow finished in 3rd. But there was actually a point, Andre Mahjong warped over in turn 1, and then by the time he reappeared over in turn 2, he was facing upwards, and he was in midair on the inside of the racetrack. That was a scary moment. The beauties of technology, am I right?
Right.
Tim Nofsker to the point in the 088 car. Nofsker coming up a top 5 run last week in the season opener, subsequently 5th in the point standings, only 7 points out of the points lead. Of course, maybe a little too early on in the season to be talking about the regular season points champion, but that pays out bonus points in the playoffs. If a driver isn't necessarily able to win their way into the playoffs, they look at that. I think it's 15 bonus points you get, which technically you're getting the bonus points that would accumulate to 3 victories during the regular season. It's a big payout, and these drivers realize that. Even the drivers that win, they still want those bonus points also. Joe DeSpirito right there in that 24 in the second position. He was last year's regular season champ.
this front pack has dwindled down to not a lot as the cars it used to be, but not far behind them is another pack of what looks like six cars, I think, 7 cars back here. That if they can
Looks
line up, they can probably
like
try to catch up to these cars here. But there's also a lap car Ron Hagelin and Billy Elliser in front of them, and then Tom Dixon not that far ahead of them.
to your point, looks like we've got 16 cars now up in this lead pack. We had 26 in the lead pack after the first round of green flag pit stops. And Bob Dixon, Bobby Farrow would have been in the lucky dog positions, but as you pointed out right there, there is Billy Elliser and Ron Hagelin both going a lap down. So the fight will be on for the free pass position between those two, as well as the 143 and the 92, who are in this lead pack. Got a second group being led, I believe, by Jessica Shelton. Nope, correction, Keith Bynum. Then Mark Paglia, Jessica Shelton, Milt Surratt, Wiley Coate, Brian Lovell, and Jason Scheck.
And we'll see if these cars are running faster than the cars in front.
Looking at scoring right now, Bynum ran a 48.3 last time by to a 47.8 by Novsker, so they're half a second off.
So Joe DeSpirito just ran a 48.1.
And Bynum ran a 47.9. So that time they gained a little bit.
Yeah, but that time they were faster.
I wonder if it's because that lead pack encountered the 26 and the 111. Could that have slowed them down enough?
And now they're encountering the 45, making them 3 wide.
All they got to do, that pack of 6 or 7, is they got to be within 1.2 seconds of the last car in this pack, and they will have a whiff of draft. Right now, they are about 2.8 seconds behind the last car in this lead pack, which would have been the 6 of Brian Rawson, but now a couple of lap cars in the Dixon brothers, Bob and Tom. Oh, when we were cycling back there, Joe DeSpirito made his way up to the front in the 24 car. Remember last season, Michael, when we kept documenting and seeing if the streak would continue? Top 5s in every single one of the regular season races. Well, he wasn't able to begin the streak here last week. He had good reason. He was on his honeymoon. Congratulations to him. But now trying to see here in his first start in the season if he can maybe bring that regular season top 5 streak back in season 62.
Absolutely. It'll be fun to see. That's for sure with him leading in that Cole Trickle throwback.
We got 14 laps, something like that, 13, 14 laps before these drivers are going to have to make that final pit stop. If a caution were to come out now, though, we are within...
Trying to jinx us.
Well, no, I'm just pointing out the fact that we are within the fuel window that they could make it the rest of the way on the final pit stop now.
Hey, JT May here in our chat. WWE 2K equals fun German suplex. And 2003 equals...
Not so much. Do you think anybody would ever make a racetrack and call it Suplex City Speedway?
Don't give people ideas.
You know,
you can do it. You can take a track and edit it.
Yeah, I could. But am I going to? Probably not.
You can edit it so every time we start the track, it just plays Brock Lesnar's theme song.
Just be the Brock Party briefcases for the billboards.
Yeah, right? Oh, 24 is going to go the outside. The 39 stays to the outside, but not a lot of help there. And the more of these cars race side by side. That backpack, Seth, is catching them.
Spirito wanted to go down and pick up Bob Seminara there, his fellow Florida gang Chevrolet. Let's see if that outside line can do anything there. Josh Metallic, Kelly Causey, some fast cars up there on that outside. Last week's winner, Jeremy Jeffries.
Roughly in the same camera shot now.
47 laps completed. All 39 drivers are still running. Granted, we now have lap machines, 32 on the lead lap, but the fact that we've run green up to this point and nobody's even had a mechanical failure either. They all are still running. That's pretty cool, especially after the hardships a lot of drivers suffered. Not only in the closing stages of last week, but a lot of drivers were involved in a couple of other big ones, the beginning and middle portions of the race last week. And the fact that everybody still, for the moment, is in the running for this thing, depending on what could happen in these final 20 laps, pretty cool for them. And I think that second pack, I've been keeping an eye on them here, Michael. they're not gaining as much as they were when we last checked in on them, but they are continuing to chip away. They're now down to about 2.1 seconds behind this lead pack. They'll probably catch this lead group by the time we get to that final round of pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know, Seth, that final round of pit stops is going to be very close. If you do the math.
JT Mayhew in our chat. He may build the track, and he would place it in Sioux Falls City. There you
Oh,
go.
Lord.
Suplex City Speedway in Sioux Falls City. Perfect.
Got to make sure there's like back loops on the backstretch to signify the German suplexes.
Back loops. You gotta have to run no damage races there, or else goodbye engine.
You're just going up and hoping that you make it without falling.
Second pack has caught the
because of
lead pack, by
gravity.
the way. They've got the draft. So we're gonna have a total of
Well, Seth,
23 lead lap
actually,
cars in this lead group.
If you think about it, I was wrong about the fuel thing, because right now we come into 16 laps to go, which is in the fuel window.
Yep.
Do we see anybody come down early?
I don't think so. I was gonna bring up that point of conversation as well. Theoretically, if we run a race completely green, drivers have to make that final pit stop somewhere between laps 58 to 60, which puts them about 6 to 8 laps short. That's not even a can of fuel.
Yes, I agree with that, but I personally would do it early, because if we have a late race wreck, if everything can cycle around, you might be sitting in the catbird seat.
So if you're towards the back of the pack here, like middle back of this lead group, would you fall into that category?
As long as you don't go a lap down, get a good group with you.
I mean, if you kind of feel like you're stuck and not going forward, maybe play that kind of strategy.
Speaking of group, look at that third lane.
Yes, indeed. Keith Bynum up there on the top. Now, we know that Keith Bynum and I think Mark Paglia in that 28 as well, they were some of the last drivers to come to pit road on the second cycle of green flag pit stops, so we know they can go a lap or two further. That's why they're taking that outside line, trying to get themselves up to the front. Jessica Shelton's up there with them. Milt Surratt as well in the 80. We had somebody in our chat, I think it was Benjamin Snyder, says he loves that Tide ride, and right now that Tide ride looking strong, battling 3 wide for around the 8th position.
Yep, double wide for the lead.
Oh, boy!
So close.
That was really close there. Mark Paglia, and I think it was Kelly Causey, made a little bit of contact there. Buckshot Jones and Lake Speed getting into it.
Side draft! Side draft!
I don't think it's a throwback to anything. Did anyone ever, in your knowledge, in NASCAR run a Goldfish car? There had to be somebody, right?
I
Like
don't think
a
so.
JTG daughtery car, maybe?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, that's a missed opportunity. Why was there never a Goldfish car?
I don't know. Why don't you make one?
Ooh, Keith, what are you doing? Going for that non-existent side draft. Oh, and he's going to turn the 39!
Oh, my Lord. And that's going to be the big wreck.
Don't know what Keith Bynum was doing there.
That's like everybody.
That's reminiscent of the big one we had in the final stages of last week's race at Talladega. And I don't know. I saw that one happening a mile away, and I don't know why it happened. And we're still wrecking.
All right, hold on. I want to look at this real quick.
Tom Dixon, Bob Seminara, Denny Carroll.
Seth, I want to look at this real quick. I'm looking at the replay. And, yeah, he was pinching, but I think Metallic came up a little bit. Yeah, like it looks like Keith was holding his line, and the 39 just came up a little bit.
I just don't know why we're pinching on the back straightaway. There's no side draft.
Yeah, there's no side draft. That's right. But I want to know what possibly, it could have been a hitbox as well. Like, he moved up. I saw it in the helicopter cam. If you want to look at the 39 in helicopter view when you look at this wreck. And it just looks like Metallic just kind of started to drift up just a little bit, and it was enough that they made contact.
This was a battle for the lead. We'll go to that chopper cam as you were talking about here. We'll take it a little bit in slow-mo as well. And there you see Bynum. He's pinching down the 00. Watch the 39 in Metallic here. Still down in that right rear.
And watch, you'll see him kind of just creeping up just a little bit.
The question is, so I understand what you're talking about, but you also mentioned hitbox. did the 63 come down enough where it still looked like there was space, but there was contact and it was hooking the 39 up the track rather than him actually driving up there?
Well, I guess there's really no way to kind of figure that
there's
out without
there's two
hearing from the
people that
drivers
know the
themselves.
answer to that question. And
Yeah.
and they were the two that made the
And I
contact
think
right
there's
there.
only like 4 cars that made it through
About
without
yeah, I
getting
think
any
there were
type of
6
damage.
cars. I think Jess in 6 was the last one to get through. Causey, Emery, DeSpirito, Schilling, Jeffries, and Shelton.
Metallic is out of the race. He has taken his car behind the wall. It's the only car so far to have done it.
There you see the second hit. We were focused on the 712 of Bob Seminara because it was Tom Dixon, Doug Hewlick, and Randy Waugh who were all
Luigi,
still pretty much in the throttle there up against the wall, and it spun Dixon
there's a
down into
bunch of
Seminara.
cars. There's a bunch of cars, lap cars that are ahead of the leader, which is Graham McDonald right now. So they should, in theory, get the wave around.
Yeah, it would
And
be on the tail end of the lead lap,
is
right?
it one or two Lucky Dogs?
2.
Then that would be the 45 and the 029.
Let's see. I don't know if this
But
camera
I don't know if
shot's going to
that's
be.
going to happen though, because don't forget pit stops too.
I don't know if this
They
camera
have
shot's
to
going to be
pit.
early enough to show us here. I think the contact's already going to be made. Yeah. Oh, man. Josh Metallic up and over. And then just look at this. The track's completely cluttered. One of the toughest type of a wrecks at a super speedway to avoid is a corner wreck because cars spin up the track, cars spin down the track. You just got to guess where they're going to be at by the time you arrive on the scene. Let's try an onboard. Let's see if an onboard will tell us if the contact was made between the 63 and the 39 or not that led to the 39 turning up the track. Here it is. Well, that wasn't all that conclusive either. Well, like I said, only 2 people really know what happened right there, and that would be the 63 and the 39. But to your point, Michael, Josh Metallic battling for the race lead and is done for the night, just like that. And this was the caution everybody would have had to have made a green flag pit stop. Now everybody makes their pit stop here under yellow, and we should be done with pit road for the rest of the night. Joe DeSpirito won the battle off of pit lane, so it looks like he'll restart as the leader. Chris Emery second. Jason Scheck will now be up to third. Grant Wesley fourth. Jeremy Jeffries in 5th, and Kelly Causey, Brian Schilling, Jessica Shelton, Bernie Mobbs, and Chuck McClure, I believe, are going to be the top 10. This restart going to be with less than 10 laps to go.
Going to be with 10. Oh, yeah, you're right, Les. So this would be a good time to take our final little break set before the end of this race.
That's a good call. So lights still out there, are still on the pace car.
Easy for you to say.
Got a couple laps here, I think, still under pacing before we turn them loose and see who's going to take the checkered flag here tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Joe DeSpirito, your current leader. We'll see you guys right after this FRN race break. Don't go anywhere. With the lights out atop the Chevrolet Corvette pace car, we're going to be going back green with, looks like a total of 9 laps to go. Working our first caution of the evening, and it was a big one over in turn 3. Only one driver out of the race as a result of it, Josh Metallic. You saw Bob Dixon, Bobby Farrell got the free pass. 33 drivers on the lead lap of 38 that are still running. And Joe DeSpirito looking to join Jeremy Jeffries, lock himself into a playoff position, but he's going to have to hold off Chris Emery, Jason Scheck, Grant Wesley, the aforementioned Jeffries there in 5th, Kelly Causey, Brian Schilling, looking for his 3rd win on the week, Jessica Shelton, Bernie Mobbs, Chuck McClure, your top 10 right now, and a lot of hungry drivers even back there in the top 15, top 20 that still have a shot at this. A lot of laps still left here for drivers to make moves.
9 laps to go. You were absolutely right, Seth. Let's keep an eye on that triple zero up there.
Emery's been dealing with some warp issues here tonight. Would hate to see him out of the running for a checkered flag with internet connection problems. Looks like he's been steady for the pacing laps.
I thought something happened to DeSpirito. He might have missed a shift because look at the top 2.
Nope, somebody...
I mean, it looked like the 81 picked his wheels up, but I think he might have missed. Oh, they're wrecking in the back.
And caution's out again. Oh, big hit there. Wiley Coat, Tom Dixon.
Billy Ellister upside down. Milt Surratt involved in it. Graham McDonald, who was just leading. Wiley Coates smoking and probably out of this race.
We're 3 wide for 3rd as we're watching this battle back to the caution. Less than 15 to go, so all cautions at this point are raced back. Oh, one on the apron, and they're wrecking. DeSpirito and Jeffries got together, went to the apron. Jason Scheck, Tim Knopfsker involved.
Back up the racetrack.
We had a wreck and a follow-up. Oh, and they're wrecking again out of the tri-oval. Richard Martin's up into the wall. Greg Palmer got spun off the nose of. I think that was Brian Schilling through the tri-oval.
616 upside down.
Oh, my gosh.
Happening in one time.
Wow.
Oh, that's because somebody got bumped again. When the 1 came up the track, the 43 came up and clipped somebody, thinking he was going to get hit. And I don't know what happened to the 22, but that was insane right there.
Well, we had about 50 laps of green flag racing, and we had the big one, and I guess we can call this one the long one, because I think we had a wreck in just about every single corner. Interesting, we had Rodney Sullivan's father here in our chat saying Rodney started back in 20th. Well, he's now up to 9th after everything that just happened right there. He just picked up 11 spots.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Let's take a look and see. We got our replay guys working overtime on this one because they got a lot of stuff they got to capture. Let's start first with the incident that occurred over in turn number 2. Begins, I think, with the 5 of Wiley Coat.
While you look at that, Seth.
Oh, Wiley blew up.
Really?
Yep, right in the middle of the pack. That's what led to that one.
Well, while you look at this, Seth, I'm going to go use the commentator's room.
Okay. I thought we were in the commentator's room. That's the little gentleman's room.
Shut up.
Take another look here at the Terry Labonte throwback car of Wiley Coat. Keep a close eye on him. Watch the back of the race car. You'll see the plume of smoke right there. Looks like when he shifted up to 4th gear. Billy Elliser, Cy Jones, Graham McDonald. Oh, back further there. Elliser and Milt Surratt went up and over. Wiley Coat went for a tumble. And then let's work our way up here to the 24 of Joe DeSpirito, because I think he and Jeremy Jeffries get together. Right there. DeSpirito gets a bump. Up the track into Jason Scheck. Brian Schilling gets a piece of that. Knopfsker, big hit there for DeSpirito. And then, oh gosh, Keith Bynum and Jerm Lewis, they're barrel rolling there. That was after, as Michael documented, the 1 came back up the track. Let's go back and take a little bit more in-depth look at that one. Let's follow the 1 of Jeremy Jeffries. Right there, Knopfsker redirects him back up the track. Richard Martin gets up into Jerm Lewis, trying to avoid, and that's when Jerm gets the 63. Look at that barrel roll. Remember back in the day, Barney Ward, he had a YouTube channel, had a series called Count the Barrel Rolls. Well, if you want to pause this and watch this back in slow motion, you can count the barrel rolls there. I don't know if that's necessarily the Wild Blue Yonder for Jerm Lewis, but might have been close. Look at that wild tumble for Keith Bynum. And then look at this as the 616. Barrel rolls down the bank into the tri-oval, then catches the grass. It barrel rolls even more. Tim Nofsker continued to slide. Jerm's car actually ended up on its roof. And I believe that actually took Jerm Lewis out of this race. Well, a lot culminated right there. Let's show it all, courtesy of Rodney Sullins. It was documented he restarted back in 20th place, and let's see how he worked his way up into the top 10 into 9th. The incident off of turn 2 occurred behind him, so we'll start it over in turn number 3.
I am back. Back from the commentator's room.
Saw right there Terry Bombard and Rodney Sullins able to both feather the throttle, make their way through. JT asked, he said to make sure that you brought air freshener to the little announcer's room.
That.
Did you?
It wasn't that kind of an emergency.
Oh. But they're all emergencies.
What do you do? Pee in a bucket?
No, I do it in my suit like a real race car driver.
But we're not in a suit though. We're in like an actual suit, but not a driver's suit.
Do you think you would ever actually get into a driver's suit to do a broadcast?
No.
Okay, just asking.
And Benjamin asked if the 096 is still in this race. I believe he is.
Yes.
In 11th.
Got a couple of drivers that will get the free pass here. Ron Hagelin, Side Jones. So we'll have
get four laps on this.
If the lights go out this time, yep. I don't know if they will though. We'll have 32 drivers on the lead lap, 35 drivers running, 3 more drivers back in the garage area joining Josh Metallic. They will include Jason Scheck, Wiley Coate, and Jerm Lewis. That's a tough break there for Jason Scheck because he nailed the pit stop on the second round of green flag pit stops, was up there inside of the top 10, and made his way up into the top 5, and just got swept up into that contact off of turn 4 between Jeremy Jeffries and Joe DeSpirito. And just like that, bless you.
Thank you.
Just like that, gonna suffer a DNF here tonight. Billy Elliser checking back. Okay, he is still running. He's 2 laps down now, and
it's off on the pace car.
And I thought somebody just blew up, but I think somebody.
I thought so too. I think
they downshifted and wheel spun.
Well, Seth, go through your top 10 here. Look, who's a good favorite? Who do you think's got this?
This racetrack, late race theatrics. I don't know. That 38 car led 23 laps here tonight. I think Rodney Sullins still has something there. If it's not him, Chuck McClure started deep in the pack, and he's been able to make his way up to the front.
Well, I want to go with the guy who has no shame or no problem with winning here. I'm going to go with Grant Wesley.
All right.
Now, when they all wreck, I'm going to say it was your fault.
Okay. I'll take that blame. I'll be our truth. That one's on me.
Sorry, guys. My bad. My bad.
Chris Emery, though, out in front here for this restart. It's going to be the last restart of the night. We know that much. Next flag's going to end the race. And we'll give the disclaimer here. We're going to stay at the front of the field.
Song.
We're going to stay here at the front of the field if a caution does come out and watch the race back to the yellow, because it would be the proverbial checkered flag. If they make it back to the white flag, then of course we'll stay with the leader there as well, and we'll go back and look at any subsequent needed replays, either under the final pacing laps or post-race.
And I really, really hope that we get through this race or get through this restart good, because I would really hate for a great race early on to be just trashed with a finish under the caution flag.
Yeah, we had 50 plus laps under green flag here tonight. 2 back-to-back cautions, some pretty big hits taken in both of those wrecks.
Seth, you watch the front, I'll watch the back.
Okay.
On this restart, you watch the front.
Chris Emery, Grant Wesley, Jessica Shelton, Kelly Causey, Chuck McClure, the top 5, then Randy Waugh, Bernie Mobs, Terry Bombard, Rodney Sullins, and where did Doug Hewlett come from? He's now the completion of the top 10. Green flag in the air.
So far,
both
so good.
lanes got a pretty even start, but both the second lanes did too, and there's quite a gap from the lead cars back to the second cars. Grant's going to duck in line right behind Chris Emery, right in front of Jessica Shelton.
Oh, yep, so far so good. The back of half of the field got going, so we've got ourselves a good race.
Usually when we talk to drivers, late race restarts here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, they're just committed to the inside. They're going to force everybody to go around the outside line.
And Emery's drifted up just a little bit.
I noticed that. He was opening up the door, and I don't think Grant would have been too shy about sticking his nose in there. You got to keep it pinned to the yellow line. They're trying to make a second lane back there, but I don't know how many takers you're going to have at this point in time, at least for the front runners. Emery crosses the line. 3 laps to go here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway.
When do you think the 88 will try to make a move?
Yeah.
You know, somebody in the wall back there.
We're still green. I think that was Hewlett in the wall, and then somebody, I think it might have been Glenn Harris, had a great save as he was sideways. Look at Chuck McClure, Rodney Sullins. They've got an outside line going, side by side between Mobs and McClure for 4th.
Does Jessica or maybe even Bernie Mobs move up? They're losing it.
Ulysses Sandoval now moves up into the top 5 potentially there on that inside line. Seminara behind him. Brian Lovell in the 043. Coming to 2 laps to go. Little more than 5 miles remain.
Now, you know very well that this race could end under yellow. When do you make the move, Steph? When do you do it? Do you wait until, because you never know when a wreck could happen.
Exactly.
So here's a good question for you, Seth. If they wreck coming to the white flag and a couple of cars pass before the caution quote unquote flies, then it's still a race.
I think so. I believe it is. I think it's an odd situation because a lot of times in that kind of a scenario, a lot of drivers will be told they've taken the caution and a lot of drivers will be told race back. So hopefully we don't have that scenario.
If it was me, I'd keep my foot in it.
Exactly. Well, hopefully we don't have that scenario. Let's keep it together here through the tri-oval because we're coming to the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Emery's got to make that rear bumper as wide as he possibly can. I still say stay to the bottom. Even if they go to the top, stay on the bottom.
Yeah.
Brian Lovell taking a peek back there on Bob Seminara. Not able to do so.
Well, when is he going to do it? Yes, is going to go to the outside.
Go into the
Bernie
top.
Mobs doesn't go, but the Ulysses Sandoval does.
And Sandoval's going to pick up Chuck McClure. Does McClure cross down to the bottom? No, he's going to go up to a 3rd lane there. Emery sees all those lanes. I think he's still got to stay on the inside line here. Grant thinking about moving up. Shelton with a move to the 3rd lane. Emery opened the door. Grant couldn't make it work. Shelton with a big run for 2nd.
Good run. Here it comes. Ooh,
Emery with the block, and Emery, I think, got it.
And everybody wrecked.
Oh my
Lord.
Goodness.
Wow, Jess got, holy moly, that is everybody.
I think it was Emery, Wesley, Shelton.
No, it was Emery, Shelton, Wesley.
It was. You're right. Scoring hadn't updated for me. Wow. You know, normally I say there's always one that spins out the race winner at the end. There are about 20 right there.
I think there was only one that made it through.
There you go. Emery's going to do his burnouts right there in turn 1. Why not? What a great piece of driving from Chris Emery there, because Shelton had a big run, and he timed the block perfect on her.
Even if he wouldn't have blocked, I still think it would have been a. I think 00 or 000 would have made it.
Do you think he would have gotten her? Because she got a huge shove through the tri-oval.
I mean, there's not really much you could do. He tried to put the block on, and she still got to his outside.
I gotta check back and see. I know Chris Emery has a super speedway victory, but I believe it was in another RTG series. I don't know, but this might be Chris Emery's first career win in the Talladega Challenge series. Whether it's his first or his second, you can see the elation. I mean, those rear tires haven't stopped spinning.
The 096 comes home 7th place.
How about Bernie Mobbs? Great run for him there. Needed it. In 4th. Chuck McClure started deep in the field. Brings it home in the top 5 in 5th.
Hey, we managed to finish up our race before Joe Toten did.
Well, they're at Bristol though, so we give him a pass on that. Bristol's, I know it's
Well,
a shorter track, but
they're on the lap 142 of 175.
okay, so they're not that far away. It's like Emery's burnouts. We're going to be over there in turn 1.
He's
and
coming
now he's
around
coming down
to try to
pit
get
road.
to victory lane here, Seth. That was a heck of a finish.
That was, and we're going to go back and try and see if we can get a little bit of a slow-mo cam of that down in the tri-oval, because I'll tell you what, there were a couple of drivers that I thought might have something for that 000, and it came down to perfectly timed blocks for Chris Emery to win this race.
He blocked her enough that where Jess hit him, he got sideways. He tried to save it.
Yeah, he was sideways across the line. You're right.
He just barely finished in front of the 88 of Grant Wesley to get second on that one.
Here's the first perfectly timed block. He opens up the door. Grant drives down to the inside. Emery sees it and just barely clears across his nose.
I'm watching from the helicopter cam on this.
And then watch the run Shelton's getting here. This push from Chuck McClure, and right here, Emery sees it just enough, gets the contact from Shelton, and is able to hold on for the victory. It would have been close. You might be right. He might have, if he hadn't thrown the block, he might have. I think the server just went down.
My game crashed.
Yeah, mine did too. But he might have been able to hold her off even without the block, but it would have been super, super close. Well, since the server or our games both crashed, I'm going to quickly try and read off the finishing results here. I think I should be able to do a print screen of my scoring so we can let everybody know. Unfortunately, we're not able to show that the remainder of that wreck crossing the start-finish line.
Well, and while you're doing that, why don't we, and Seth, you have control of questions tonight, why don't we go ahead and start talking?
Well, hold on. I gotta give the finishing results first here. All right.
We saw where everybody finished.
Did we though? I didn't actually bring up the finishing results screen yet, so nobody actually did see that.
That sounds like a you problem.
It is slightly a me problem. Emery the win, 52 1,000ths of a second over Shelton, 60 1,000ths of a second over Grant Wesley. Bernie Mobbs in 4th, Chuck McClure 5th, Rodney Sullins needed a good run tonight, gets 6th, Ulysses Sandoval in 7th, Buckshot Kelly Causey brings it home in 8th, Bob Seminara in 9th, and Brian Schilling will complete the top 10. Brian Lovell was 11th, Randy Waugh in 12th, Mark Paglia 13th, Glenn Harris 14th, 15th was Terry Bombard, Donnie Garrett was 16th, Denny Carroll 17th, rest of the top 20 were Brian Rawson, Graham McDonald, and Bobby Farrell. Jeff Cravello finished in 21st, Tim Nofsker 22nd, Richard Martin was 23rd, 24th for Joe DeSpirito, Bob Dixon 25th. Last week's winner, Jeremy Jeffries, 26th, so he may drop out of the points lead here tonight. Ron Hagelin was 27th, Greg Palmer in 28th. 29th was Doug Kulick and Cy Jones in 30th. Milt Surratt and Keith Bynum in 31st and 32nd were the last drivers to finish on the lead lap. Tom Dixon 1 lap down 33rd, Mike Mangialardi 1 lap down 34th, and Billy Elsler was the last driver running at the conclusion 2 laps down in 35th. 4 drivers finished this race behind the wall. 36th place Jason Scheck, 37th Wiley Coate, 38th Jerm Lewis, and 39th Josh Metallic.
Real quick, as we both know, Jess was having some issues with her TeamSpeak, so unfortunately, we will not be able to interview her. So we should be able to interview fourth, third, and first.
Yeah, was running with no sound here tonight. Imagine being in three wide or even that battle for the win with not being able to hear the car engines around you. So, job well done by her here
So who finished
tonight.
fourth?
Bernie Mobs.
All right, where is he at here? There he is, right here. I'll bring him up in here with us.
All right.
You got questions?
User was moved to
Hey,
your
Bernie,
channel.
Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yes, I do. How you doing?
Doing good. Man, I'll tell you what, great drive from you here tonight, and a lot of it attributed to your ability to get through those last couple of big ones. You're bringing home with a top five performance here this evening after some hardship last week. Or I'm sorry, correction, after a good run last week, I should say, in third place. Looks like scoring might have you as the points leader heading into next week. So, how about this hot start?
Wow, I love it. About the same as last week. Kind of ran around the back all the time, and at the end was in the right place at the right time. It's a crazy game, crazy racing, but I'll take it. Best start ever.
And very interesting race too, because we saw you guys run almost the entire first two-thirds of this race, maybe a little bit further than that, all under green flag. You had a couple of green flag pit stop cycles, and then you have to switch gears and go into wreck avoidance mode. So, did that take you by surprise? Did you think that we were just going to continue to trend this to be a fuel strategy, pit road execution race all the way to the checkers? Or did you think we might see those late race yellows?
Well, from where I was running, I was hoping for a yellow. I needed a little bit of catch up. Had a little pit road incident that slowed me down and lost the draft. So yellows were good for me this time around.
You've had the consistency here. You mentioned about the fact kind of a similar strategy both this week and last week yielding similar results. So do we go back to that playbook next week? Do we try something different now that we're potentially going to be at the top of the point standings?
Well, we'll see where we qualify and everything, but I'd like to run up the front more instead of the back and hope for, cautions and stuff, rather be at the front. So Uh, game plan will just depend on how it all comes out. Front would be better though.
Well, great job by you here once again tonight. Back-to-back top fives to start out the season. Fourth place tonight under the lights at Burnt Screwdriver Raceway. Congratulations there, Bernie. Well done on, I'm pretty sure, being the new points leader heading into Talladega next week. Before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Well, as always, great racing by all the guys at RTG and great announcing and everything by you guys at FRN. Love it. I can't wait to watch the replay.
Bernie Mobs, he is your fourth place finisher here tonight at BSR. Congratulations once again. Maybe we could see you continue this top five streak next week when we head back to Dega.
Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next week.
User was moved out of your
And
channel.
it's interesting because he is the points leader, Michael, but he's the co-points leader. We've got a tie at the top of
Ooh.
the standings board with a guy we're going to jump to next who brought it home third place here tonight, Grant Wesley.
User was moved
Grant,
to your
Michael, and
channel.
Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Wild race here tonight. Interesting gamesmanship going on there on that final restart. We saw you go way wide into turn one, kind of had that gap to tuck in behind the 000, and you had a shot at him maybe off of turn four. Couldn't quite fill in that hole. Kind of replay back that final run to the checkered flag. Any area, if you could go back, that you might have made the move a little bit sooner?
Yeah, so I got a great restart, as always, and Kelly didn't get such a great restart behind me, so I didn't have any help going into one. I seen Chris didn't have much help either. I seen that big hole there, but they were lined up better on the bottom, so that's why I went out wide to slow down my lap time there and keep my speed up, and then I shot down to the bottom. So that was definitely a great move. It put me in a great position. I knew at that point. I knew that 2 and 3 wide was coming. It was late in the race, so I was in a great spot. So I was going to push Chris until the last lap at that point, um, which I did. And yeah, kudos to Jess, man. She didn't have any sound this race. I don't know how she got second, but awesome job on her behalf. But anyway, I seen her I knew somebody was going to make a move on the white flag, and I seen her poke her nose out there on the back stretch, and at that point, I kept my bumper glued to Chris into three, and pretty much followed him off of four. And coming off four, basically, I was trying to fake him high and cut him low, and which I did. I faked him high. He went up to the middle, and I think Jess was in the third lane, and then I made the only move I had was to go back down low under Chris, and either he was going to come down and block, and or it was going to work, and it didn't work out. He came down at that point. My fate was sealed. I was looking at a second place finish at best, and yeah, and man, Jess came and Chris moved up in front of her, and man, that was a ton of fun. Good job to Chris Emery on the win.
Michael brought up the point as we were closing in on that checkered flag of how long do you wait. Now, we've pointed out the fact that both the tracks we go to, they're similar in configuration, but they do race quite differently in terms of how the lines move. A lot of times when we talk to drivers, when they win races here, especially when we have late race restarts, they say, I'm going to just hold the bottom and force them to go around me the long way because the bottom line really works here very well. In that regard, with you being the hunter for the race win, how does that play into when you time to make the move? Do you then absolutely plan for the last lap if we don't end up having a caution come out to end the race under yellow because you know the leader more than likely is not going to give up the bottom?
Well, the key is if you wait until the last lap, if you're the second place car, ultimately, if you're able to move in front of a faster moving lane of traffic that's coming, not only do you gain that speed from that bump, but you also hurt the lane that you were just in because they no longer have that help. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with waiting until the last lap. A lot of times that's a safe thing to do. But it's Talladega. I mean, anything's possible. So you just have to be ready for anything.
We
Now, Grant,
talked.
I have one
Oh, good.
question. It Seth said I should be the one to ask this, so I'm going to ask it. In your own personal opinion, what is your take on the pinching that we see during these races, especially when it's either on a straightaway or even just like mid in the middle of the race rather than closer to the end? Because we saw that pinching kind of led to that big wreck up at the front, for the very first caution of the evening.
I mean, there's a very little bit to be gained by it. It's risk versus reward, ultimately, is what it is. I mean, if you got a lot to lose, it's not really worth doing. But, um, I mean, yeah, guys, they like to take the shortest way around the track and also off two. If say you're in the middle, if you can hold that bottom lane on the bottom, not let them wash up, it hurts some momentum off the corner. That's the only place where it helps you. Other than that, the rest of the way around the track, I mean, there is no side draft that I'm aware of. So there's really nothing to be gained there. And the very little bit that you are gaining by making that shorter distance is a huge risk. So yeah, it's kind of unnecessary at times.
Well, Grant, we talked moments ago with Bernie Mobbs. He ended up having back-to-back top tens to start the season. Same for you, and because of all that, you're co-points leader with him going into next week. So congratulations on that. I know that we're talking about it here in the early going of the season. Probably it's on the back in the back of your drivers' minds as well. That regular season championship. I know you guys want those wins as well, but gonna be interesting to see what you do as the co-points leader heading into Talladega next week. But before I let you go, floor is yours for thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Congrats to Bernie on his excellent start to the season, and yeah, those bonus points going into the championship helped tremendously. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. I'd like to knock off some top threes and keep this momentum rolling. Um, so yeah, first and foremost, or not thanks, but congratulations to Chris Emery. He fought hard for this win, and yeah, congratulations on that. I'd like to thank the owners here, David Cannon, Sean Prime, the admins, Josh, Wiley, Tim, everyone that helps behind the scenes. FRN, thank you so much for taking time out to do this for us, do this broadcast. I'd like to thank my teammates with XFM. I'd like to thank all the partners that have ever helped with all the donations for this broadcast. It's not cheap to put it on, so I just want to thank just everybody. Um, thank my friends and family for watching, and my girlfriend Brittany.
Grant Wesley brings it home third place here tonight. Good podium in his second start on the season, and as mentioned, co-points leader heading into next week's second bout at Talladega Superspeedway. Congratulations once again. Best of luck here in the continuation of the regular season, Grant.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
User was moved
All
out
right,
of
well,
your
I
channel.
took the opportunity to go back and look. This is the second career win for one Chris Emery. His first victory all the way back June 3rd of 2021, snapping a almost going on 3-year winless streak. I think that's why we saw that very lengthy burnout over in 1 and 2. And let's see if we can now head down to victory lane and dial up Chris Emery.
User was moved to
Hey,
your
Chris,
channel.
Michael, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hey, what's up, Seth?
Well, we just talked about it. June of 21, the last time you took a checkered flag in this series, going all the way back to season 53. 9 seasons later, you're back in victory lane. And man, the big storyline there in that final lap was perfectly timed blocks. How were you able to keep them all at bay? Because there were a couple of times that they almost got to your quarter panel.
Yeah, it was some pretty close racing there, and man, my heart was beating. But I just like at the beginning of the races, man, I try and keep them all behind me as much as I can, and just take it from there.
Not only snapping that long winless streak, but this victory now locks you into the playoffs as well. So with that kind of load off your mind, what do we see out of this 000 in the upcoming remaining 6 races of the regular season?
Yeah, well, I've never actually ran a full season here at RTG, so I'm always just going for wins, but this may change things, I guess, for going forward, and so.
Yeah, we talked about the fact very early on in the season, a good finish, a win will propel you up through the stands. You jump up 17 spots to 7th in overall points heading into next week. One other thing I want to ask you as well is here tonight we kind of saw the tale of 2 races. We saw green flag pit stops at the beginning, 2 green flag pit stop cycles. Was looking like this race might trend to a final money stop under green. Then the caution comes out with a big wreck up at the front of the field. We have subsequent cautions that follow that final race restart where you were able to keep everybody in your rearview mirror, but you kind of avoided most everything here tonight, keeping that car up inside the top 10 pretty much the entire night.
Yeah, that was my goal, man, to stay ahead of many people as I can, and just try and play the race how it kind of plays out, and to see where it all falls from there. I just got some luck at the end too, and there have been other races where I've been doing some serious blocking even at the beginning of the races, and just trying to learn that kind of stuff, man. It just kind of all went my way tonight, and very thankful for it. It's really fun, and I want to thank everybody for the help too.
Well, it definitely worked out for you. Congratulations on going back to victory lane. Last season, we saw quite a number of drivers snap some long winless streaks. I don't think they were quite as long as this one that was snapped here tonight. Chris, I know you want to get back to your celebrating. We'll let you go. But first, we're handing the microphone over to you for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, well, thanks. I want to thank Germ. We're celebrating with a beer right now. And, so, yeah, man, good times. And I also want to thank Grant. He was a real big help tonight. Grant was pushing me there to victory lane, and at the end there, when he usually kind of hangs me out to dry. But, oh, man, that feels good. And so I want to thank him. And everybody at RTG, I really appreciate it. And the Blue Angels, the best in navigation and performance. And, man, I want to thank you, Seth. This is really cool to come up here and talk to you again. And thanks for the broadcast. And thank you for everything, man. I feel so good right now. It's really paid off.
Absolutely. Tell Jerm we hope he's not too dizzy from his barrel roll there in the trial. But Chris Emery bringing it home with the checkered flag here tonight. Second win of his career in the Talladega Challenge Series. Job well done. Best of luck here in these final races down the home stretch and getting him prepared for those playoffs.
Thanks, Seth. Y'all have a great night, and see y'all next week.
Absolutely. Chris
User
Emery
was moved out of
with
your
the
channel.
victory here tonight. I mean, how about that, Michael? Going all the way back to 2021. We're about a month away from the 3-year anniversary of his first career win. He picks up the victory here tonight and had to earn it because, as I said, he left the door open a couple of times and just barely slammed them shut at the last possible moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Managed to come home with a win there. He's really, really excited about it. Overcame his warping issues, and there he is in victory lane celebrating.
That's a good point, because I was actually going to bring that up to him, and I didn't know if I wanted to have him relive the horrors, because he was blinking quite a bit. We saw him early portion of the race, was up, in the top 5, and had to fall to the back because he was blinking. So how about that? Kind of a comeback story, if you will, for Chris Emery, overcoming the connection gremlins to pick up the victory here tonight. You heard him mention that he has never run a full-time season here in the Talladega Challenge Series. When he picked up that victory back in season 53, it did not advance him into the playoffs. He hadn't run enough races to be high enough in points to be able to clinch a playoff spot. Looks like he's looking for full-time here this season, so we may end up seeing not necessarily his first career win here tonight, but later on this year we may see his first career playoff berth in the Talladega Challenge Series. We know that Jeremy Jeffries is going to be there, and we've still got 6 more regular season races here where we could have 6 more different winners lock themselves into the playoffs. Should be good to see what happens when we head next week to Talladega. But Michael, how about these 2 races to open up the season? We have not been starved for excitement. Last week it came down really to who was able to survive the carnage of a few really big wrecks. Here tonight, and we were kind of kicked back, preparing for a long green flag race, maybe all the way, and then we end up having not 1, not 2, but 3 big ones in the final 20-some-odd laps of this race. Came down to a bit of a survival of the fittest, track position and everything, and then that wild finish at the end.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was fun to watch. I'm so glad it was here. It was a great race at the beginning, and then it all came down to F2. What it was in the afternoon and battling for the win. So I'm excited. I hope I'm going to be here next week to see it, to see race number 3, and looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Obviously, as mentioned, 8 regular season races, so 6 more races left to go before we put together the playoffs. I believe that the bracket challenge is starting up pretty soon. I think it's after race 4 that the bracket challenge begins, so drivers getting themselves positioned for that. And as mentioned, we've got a tie for the points lead heading into next week between Bernie Mobbs and Grant Wesley. So we got a lot of storylines we'll be following up on when the green flag flies next week. It'll be at Talladega Superspeedway next Thursday night. Green flag will fly at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, join us on Saturday night as we bring you coverage of the Talladega Nights Racing Mega Team Race in memory of Dean Gautreaux. It's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 40 drivers, 10 teams, 4 drivers each. Whichever drivers accumulate the most points win the team race. Hopefully my calculator doesn't die during the course of that one, but it will be at Talladega Nights Superspeedway. Be sure to join us for that one. But for Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. Thank you all so much for joining us here tonight. Congratulations to Chris Emery as he goes back to victory lane in the RTG Talladega Challenge Series. And until next week, you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.